The chamber was silent, except for the sound of Daniel Reeves's heartbeat echoing in his own ears. He stood on a black stone floor that seemed to stretch into nothingness, a floor so smooth it reflected his face like a mirror. Above him floated the alien tribunal, beings of light and shadow. Tall figures with eyes like burning stars. They did not move, they did not blink. They only watched him as if he were a small insect, trapped inside a glass jar. Daniel was a human captain, pulled from his ship without warning. One moment he had been drifting through space, scanning signals, and the next moment, a flash of light had swallowed him. Now he was here, standing before a council that ruled galaxies, and they had spoken the words that froze his blood. You must choose wisely. Human, one sister lives, the other dies. He had thought he misheard. He had thought it was some kind of mistake. But the words repeated louder, sharper, until his chest tightened like a cage. He wanted to scream, to ask why him. But his voice stuck in his throat. Two doors slid open with a hiss. From the left came a girl, perhaps 18, her hair dark and her eyes blazing like fire. From the right came another, younger, maybe 16, with pale skin and eyes filled with quiet fear. They looked human, but Daniel noticed glowing marks etched into their arms, marks that pulsed like living circuits. They were not just human, they were something more. The tribunal spoke again, their voices like thunder inside his skull. One carries the key to save your world. The other does not. Choose the one who lives. The other must be erased. Daniel staggered backward, his mouth open. What? No. You can't ask me this, I don't even know them. But the tribunal did not answer. They only watched, cold, silent, eternal. The two sisters stood trembling. The older one lifted her chin with defiance, staring at Daniel as if daring him to choose wrong. The younger one hugged her arms around herself, her lips trembling, a silent plea in her eyes. Daniel's heart twisted. He felt anger rise in his chest. Why him? Why not them? Why not the council decide themselves? The tribunal seemed to sense his thoughts. They spoke together, voices overlapping. Because you are human and humanity is on trial, your choice will reveal your kind, compassion or logic, strength or weakness. You will decide your people's fate. Daniel's mind spun. His pulse hammered in his ears. He wanted to believe this was a dream, but the cold air on his skin told him it was real. The eyes of the sisters burned into him, one fiery, one fragile, both waiting for a decision that should never belong to him. He tried to breathe, tried to speak. Why me? I'm just a captain, I'm not a judge. I'm not a god. The tribunal did not move, their voices like stone. You have one night. At dawn you must choose, or both shall die. The chamber darkened. Walls melting into shadows, a prison of silence surrounded him. Daniel felt as if the entire galaxy was pressing down on his shoulders. He could not escape, he could not run, he could only wait. The sisters stepped closer, their footsteps soft against the stone. The older one said, "Don't be afraid of them. They are monsters, they want to break you, but I will not die here." The younger one whispered, "Please don't listen to anger, please. See me. See the truth." Daniel's throat closed. The sound of their voices cut into him like knives. He looked up at the tribunal, his fists trembling. "You're forcing me to kill innocents. This isn't a choice. This is cruelty." But the council remained silent, their burning eyes unblinking. They did not care about his pain. They only cared about the test. The air grew colder, his breath fogging in front of him. The sisters stared at each other, tension thick between them. Daniel realized this was more than life or death. It was a game, a cruel game played by beings who held no soul, and he was the pawn. His heart screamed that he could not do it. But deep inside he knew the dawn would come, and when it came, one life would end. No matter what he chose, no matter how much it destroyed him, this was humanity's trial and he was its prisoner. The chamber shifted again, its walls bending like liquid glass. Daniel found himself in a smaller room, round and dim, with a single light above. The sisters were there, standing apart, one on his left and the other on his right. The alien tribunal had vanished, leaving only silence and the heavy weight of time. He studied them closely now. The older sister, Lyra, was tall for her age, her posture sharp, her jaw set like stone. Her eyes burned with defiance, as if she had already fought 100 battles in her short life. She wore no fear on her face, though Daniel could see her clenched fists trembling at her sides. The younger sister, Selene, was softer, smaller, her movements careful like a deer trapped in a forest full of wolves. Her voice was gentle, barely above a whisper, but there was something in her eyes, Something deeper. Not weakness, no, but an unusual calm, as if she carried secrets no one else could see. Daniel cleared his throat, trying to speak. I don't know who you are. I don't know why they want me to choose. But I need to understand. Lyra stepped forward, her gaze never leaving his. You don't need to understand, you need to decide. And you'd better decide right, human. Her words were sharp, but Daniel could hear the fear hidden behind her anger. Selene moved closer, her voice soft. They are testing you, but not just you. They are testing all of us. Please listen. If you choose me, I will not fail humanity. Her tone was calm, but her eyes shone with tears that she refused to let fall. Daniel's head spun. He felt the crushing weight of 2 lives pressing into his chest. Both so young, both so different, both claiming a place in a future they might never see. He wanted to believe there was a way out, a hidden choice, but the council's words still echoed in his mind. One must live. The other must die, the sisters began to argue. Their voices filling the room. Lyra's tone was fire, burning hot. I am strong, I can fight. I will stand against the aliens. I will protect Earth with my blood if I must. Choose me and humanity survives. Selena's voice was like water, calm but steady. No, strength is not enough. Humanity needs wisdom. Humanity needs someone who sees beyond violence. If you choose her, you may doom us all. Daniel's chest tightened. The tribunal had not lied. This was not only about survival, it was about what kind of future humanity would have. Would it be guided by fire, by rebellion, by Lyra's iron will, or would it be guided by calm, by patience, by Selene's gentle wisdom? He tried to interrupt. Stop fighting. This isn't helping me. But the sisters ignored him, their voices clashing like swords. Every word cut into his mind, pushing him closer to madness. Lyra turned suddenly, her voice sharp as a blade. Tell me, Captain, have you ever won a war with kindness? Have you ever stopped a soldier with words? Strength saves, strength protects, strength wins. Selene shook her head, her tears finally falling. And how many wars has strength started? How many innocent lives has fire destroyed? A future built on blood is no future at all. Daniel pressed his hands to his temples. He wanted to scream, he wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The tribunal had trapped him here, in this prison of impossible choices. The sisters' voices filled his ears. Their faces haunted his vision. One fire, one water, both necessary, both irreplaceable. Then, something strange happened as they argued. The glowing marks on their arms pulsed brighter. Lyra's marks burned red, sharp and fierce. Lines that cut like lightning. Selene's marks glowed blue, soft and flowing. Like rivers on her skin, Daniel stared, realizing these marks were not decoration. They were power, alien power. His breath caught. Wait, what are you? You're not just human, are you? The sisters fell silent, their eyes meeting each other's for the first time since entering the chamber. The air thickened with unspoken truth. Lyra whispered, We are human. But not only human. Selene finished her sentence. We were made for this choice. We were made to test you. Daniel's stomach dropped. They were part of the trial itself, not victims, not bystanders, living weapons designed by the tribunal. But they were still flesh, still blood, still souls. How could he kill one of them, knowing they were not just pawns, but children caught between 2 worlds? The silence grew heavy. Daniel felt the room itself listening, as if the tribunal was still there, watching through invisible eyes. He swallowed hard, his voice shaking. If you were made for this, then tell me, which of you is the one? Which of you carries the key to save Earth? Lyra stepped forward first, fire in her eyes. It's me. You saw it, you felt it. I have the power to burn through anything. I can destroy the enemies who threaten us. Selene moved after, her voice breaking but steady. No, it's me. I can see through them. I can hear them. I can understand the things they hide. I can stop the war before it begins. Daniel's knees weakened. His chest hollow, he could no longer tell who was right, who was lying, or if both spoke the truth. The marks on their arms glowed brighter and brighter, until the entire chamber shone red and blue. Daniel dropped to his knees, his voice raw. I can't do this. I can't, but deep down, he knew he had no choice. The dawn was coming. The tribunal would return, and when they did, one sister would live, the other would die. The chamber dissolved into darkness again, walls melting away like smoke. Daniel found himself inside a smaller space that looked almost human. A simple metal room with 2 beds, one on each side, a single table in the center, and a door that did not open. The sisters were placed here with him, as if the tribunal wanted him to spend the night deciding who would live and who would die. His chest felt heavy. Every breath was a struggle, every thought louder than thunder in his skull. He sat at the table, hands pressed against the cold surface. While the sisters remained silent, Lyra sat on her bed, her arms crossed, her fiery eyes never leaving him. Celine sat quietly on the other side, her hands folded in her lap, her gaze lowered as if afraid to meet his eyes. Daniel finally broke the silence. "I don't want this. I didn't ask for this. Why me?" "Why not the council themselves?" Lyra leaned forward, her voice sharp. "Because they want to break you. They want to see what humans do under pressure. Maybe they want to prove we are weak. Maybe they want to prove we are cruel, but either way, you are the one holding the knife." Celine raised her head, her voice soft. "Maybe it's not about cruelty. Maybe it's about trust. They want to know if humans can see truth in others, or if humans only choose what looks strong on the outside." Daniel shook his head. Their words spun around him like a storm. The tribunal had given him until dawn, but the hours were crawling like centuries. He felt trapped, like a rat inside a cage with no escape. Finally, he stood and walked toward Lyra. He wanted to know who she really was. Beyond her anger, she looked at him with fire, unblinking, daring him to test her. "Tell me," Daniel said, his voice rough. "Why do you deserve to live?" Lyra rose from her bed, taller than Selene, her presence filling the room like fire. "Because strength matters. I've fought my whole life. I've stood against cruelty, against fear, against anyone who wanted to break me. I am a survivor, and humanity needs survivors. If you let me live, I will fight for Earth until my last breath." Her words carried power, but Daniel saw something else behind them. Pain, loneliness, a wound deeper than her fire could hide. Then he turned to Celine. She had been silent, but her eyes shone like glass catching light. "Why you?" Daniel asked softly. She stood slowly, her voice trembling but steady. "Because I see more than battles. I see patterns, I hear things others do not. I can feel the thoughts of the aliens when they pass near. I understand them, I can sense their lies. If you let me live, I can protect Earth without war." Her words were calm, but Daniel felt something strange, an energy, as if her voice itself carried truth like a hidden current beneath the surface. Daniel's head spun again. Two sisters, two paths, war or peace, fire or water, strength or wisdom, but he had no proof. No way to know which one truly carried the key the tribunal spoke of. He felt sweat drip down his back, his chest tight like a closing fist. The hours passed slowly. He tried to speak with them again, asking questions, searching for clues, but each answer made things worse. Lyra claimed she had seen visions of Earth burning, visions where only her strength could stop the flames. Celine claimed she had heard whispers of alien minds, whispers of their next attack, whispers only she could interpret. Both sounded convincing, both sounded true, and yet, one of them must be lying. Or maybe both told pieces of a truth he could not understand. Daniel's hands shook as he gripped the table. He wanted to scream. He wanted to beg the tribunal for more time. But deep inside he knew time was a weapon. The more he thought, the more broken he became. That was the real test, not just the choice, but the breaking of his spirit. Lyra noticed his trembling, and for the first time her voice softened. "They want to make you weak. Don't give them what they want. Stand tall, be strong, choose strength. Choose me." Celine moved closer, her eyes gentle. "They want to see if you can see beyond anger. They want to know if humans still carry mercy. If you choose me, you choose peace. You choose hope." Daniel's throat burned. His heart torn, both voices filled him with guilt. Both made him believe. And yet he could not imagine killing either one. They were just children, pulled into a trial they did not deserve. He clenched his fists and whispered to himself, "I can't do this. I can't." The room fell into silence again, heavy and suffocating. The sisters returned to their beds, one fiery, one fragile, both watching him in their own way. Daniel stared at the dim light above, knowing the night would not last forever. Dawn was coming, and when dawn came, he would be forced to choose. One sister lives, the other dies. The pressure crushed him from every side, and there was no escape. The night grew colder, though no air moved inside the chamber. Daniel sat at the table, his face buried in his hands, while the two sisters stared at him in silence. The pressure was not just in his chest anymore. It was inside his mind, clawing at him with every thought. The tribunal had given him a choice, but what they truly gave him was a poison that spread deeper with every hour. Lyra broke the silence first. her voice sharp but trembling. "You are wasting time, Captain. The more you hesitate, the weaker you look in their eyes. The aliens don't respect weakness. They will only laugh at you if you beg for mercy." Daniel looked up at her, fire still burning in her eyes, but for a moment, he thought he saw something else, fear. Her anger was not just strength, it was also a shield, a mask to hide the terror she carried inside. Celine's voice followed, soft as falling rain. "Don't let her words fool you. She thinks only in battles. But battles bring nothing but graves. You cannot fight the stars with fire, Captain. You need to think. You need to listen to the heart." Her eyes glistened, tears balancing on the edge, yet her voice did not break. She carried sadness in her tone, but also a strange courage that did not need shouting. Daniel's chest tightened again. The sisters were no longer speaking only to him. They were speaking against each other. Every word was a weapon, every sentence another cut. He realized the true trap was not the choice, but the emotions twisting inside him. They were turning him into a battlefield. Lyra stood and walked closer, her steps hard against the floor. She leaned toward him, her voice low. "Don't let her play you. She looks weak, but weakness kills. When the aliens strike, when blood fills the ground, will her soft words stop them? No, you need me, you need my strength." Her hand touched his arm, firm and steady. Daniel felt the heat of her fire, her certainty, and for a moment, part of him wanted to believe her. Then Celine stood, her tears finally falling. She came to his other side, her hand soft against his shoulder. "You can't kill violence with more violence. Daniel, that's what they want you to think. That's the trap. They want you to believe the strongest survives. But humanity is more than that. Humanity is compassion. If you choose me, I can prove it to them." Her touch was gentle, but it sent shivers through him. Her presence was like calm water after a storm, pulling at his heart in a way Lyra's fire never could. Daniel froze, both sisters so close now, one burning, one soothing. Their voices collided in his ears, their eyes pulling at his soul. One demanded loyalty, the other begged for mercy. He felt torn apart, ripped in half, his spirit pulled like rope between two ends. The tribunal was nowhere to be seen, yet Daniel felt their invisible eyes watching. He could almost hear their silent laughter, their cold interest in how long before he would break. This was the trap of emotions. They were not forcing him to kill, not yet. They were forcing him to feel, to bond, to care so that the choice would cut deeper. Daniel slammed his hands on the table. "Stop, just stop. You're both turning me into something I don't want to be." His voice cracked, raw with pain, but the sisters did not stop. Lyra's voice rose, full of anger. "She's trying to twist you with pity. Don't let her fool you. If you save her, you kill Earth. Do you want that blood on your hands?" Celine's voice broke, her tears falling freely. "And she's trying to blind you with rage. If you save her, you destroy what makes humanity different. Do you want to be the reason compassion dies?" Daniel's knees buckled. He fell against the chair. Their words echoed in his skull like bells that would not stop ringing. Every choice felt like murder, every path a graveyard. He whispered to himself, "I can't save both. I can't save both." The sisters turned to each other then, their eyes locked, fire and water colliding. For a moment, Daniel thought they would fight, but instead, something unexpected happened. Lyra's voice cracked, her fire dimming. "Celine, I don't want you to die," Celine sobbed, shaking her head. "Neither do I, Lyra. I would rather die myself than watch them kill you." Daniel froze, his breath catching in his throat. The sisters no longer argued for their own survival. They argued for the others, and that broke him even more. How could he kill either one, when even they were ready to sacrifice themselves for each other? The chamber light flickered, shadows dancing along the walls. Daniel realized the tribunal was tightening the noose, pushing the emotions higher, forcing the bond stronger. The choice would not just be about logic, it would be about love, about pain, about guilt so heavy it would never leave him. He understood now. The tribunal did not just want his decision, they wanted his soul. He stared at the two sisters. Tears burning his own eyes, he whispered, barely able to breathe. "This isn't a trial of humanity. This is torture." The walls trembled, as if the chamber itself responded to his words. A deep rumble filled the air. The tribunal's voice returned, echoing cold and merciless. "At dawn you will choose, human. Your tears mean nothing, your mercy means nothing. Only the choice matters." Daniel fell silent, his heart heavy with fire and water, love and guilt, anger and sorrow. The trap was set and he was already caught. No matter what he chose, humanity would bleed through him. And the dawn was coming closer with every breath. The chamber was silent again. But silence no longer felt like peace to Daniel. Silence now felt like a blade pressed against his throat. Waiting to cut, the tribunal had spoken, but then vanished once more, leaving him with the sisters and the weight of an impossible dawn. Daniel sat hunched over the table, his fists pressed tight against his temples. He felt as if his skull might crack open from the pressure. Every word the sisters had spoken replayed in his head, twisting and colliding. Strength, wisdom, fire, water, war, peace. What was the right answer? What was the truth? He pushed himself up and began to pace. He could not think straight while sitting still. His boots echoed against the smooth floor. Heavy and restless, the sisters watched him quietly, one with fiery eyes, the other with tearful calm. Something inside him whispered that he was missing something, that the tribunal had not told him everything, that there was more to this test than what he had been told. He needed to find it before dawn came. He turned suddenly toward the walls. His hand brushed against the cold surface, and to his shock, the wall rippled like water under his touch. For a moment, the shadows bent, and lines of alien script flickered across the surface like hidden code. Daniel froze. "What is this?" he whispered. The sisters exchanged quick glances, as if they both knew something he did not. Lyra's fire dimmed, Celine's tears stopped. And in that silence, Daniel understood. They knew. They had always known. He pressed harder, and the wall dissolved like mist. Behind it, a hidden panel revealed itself. Glowing with strange alien symbols, Daniel stepped closer. His breath tight, the words shifted, rearranged themselves until they formed a language he could understand. Not perfect, but enough. Followed Project Echo, subjects Lyra and Celine. Status, hybrid human-alien design, purpose, genetic trial. Daniel's blood ran cold. His eyes darted across the glowing text. Both sisters were not natural humans. They were created, half human, half alien hybrids. Their bodies carried genetic codes built to merge with Earth's defense systems. But the system could only accept one host. One would live, one would die. The tribunal had engineered this from the start. Daniel staggered backward, his heart hammering in his chest. He turned to the sisters. "You knew, didn't you?" His voice cracked. Celine lowered her eyes. Tears dripping down her cheeks, Lyra clenched her fists, her fiery mask finally breaking. "Yes," Lyra whispered, her voice shaking. "They told us when we were children. They told us we were chosen, that one of us would survive, that the other would be erased." Celine's voice followed, soft but heavy with grief. "And we believed them. We grew up knowing one of us was marked for death. We tried to pretend we were sisters like anyone else. But the truth was always there. We were never free." Daniel's knees weakened. He dropped into the chair, staring at them with wide, broken eyes. "You're not just children, you're experiments." The words tasted like poison on his tongue. Lyra slammed her fist against the wall, her marks glowing brighter. "Don't say that. We are alive. We are more than their game. But yes, we are their creations, and now they want you to finish their cruelty." Celine's hands trembled as she reached for Daniel's arm. "Don't hate us, please. We didn't choose this either. We didn't choose to be born this way." Daniel's vision blurred with rage and sorrow. The tribunal had hidden the truth, twisting his heart. They wanted him to believe this was about humanity's soul, but it was about control. It was about turning him into the executioner of children, born from their own experiments. He rose to his feet, anger burning in his chest. He shouted into the shadows, "Why? Why would you make them? Why force me to kill one of them? What is the point of this cruelty?" His voice echoed, but no tribunal answered, only silence. Only the steady glow of the alien panel. Lyra walked closer, her voice low. "They won't answer you. They never do. To them, we are just tools. They want to see what choice a human makes when he knows the truth. They want to measure your heart like a weapon," Celine added, her voice trembling. "They want to see if you value strength or compassion. They want to know if humanity is worth saving. But they don't care about us. We are just the knives they place in your hands." Daniel's breath shook. His fists clenched. He looked at them. Two sisters bound by blood and fate, both born from the same cruel experiment. He felt his chest ache with guilt. He should hate the tribunal, but instead he hated himself for not finding a way out. The hours slipped away. Lyra sat with her head against the wall, eyes closed. Hiding her fear behind stubborn silence, Celine curled on her bed. whispering words Daniel could not hear, prayers or memories he did not know. And Daniel stood in the center, staring at the alien panel, wishing he could smash it to pieces, but smashing the truth would not change it. At last he whispered to himself, "This isn't just about saving Earth. This is about breaking me." The words hung heavy in the air, and deep down he knew it was true. The dawn was closer now, and with every passing second, the truth made the choice even harder. They were not strangers anymore, not just two lives in his hands. They were the proof of humanity's darkest trial, and he was the one forced to decide which truth would survive, and which would die. The chamber trembled as dawn approached. A pale light began to seep from the ceiling, spreading across the floor like a rising tide. Daniel's heart pounded as if it knew time was running out. The sisters stood on opposite sides of the room, their eyes locked on him, their breaths unsteady. The alien tribunal returned, appearing like shadows wrapped in flames. Their tall forms shimmered, their voices overlapping as one. "Human, the night is over. The hour of decision has come. Choose the sister who will live, the other shall be erased." Daniel's legs felt heavy as stone. He rose slowly, his body trembling, his mind screaming. He looked at Lyra, her fiery eyes burning with strength, her marks glowing like red lightning. He looked at Celine, her calm gaze filled with tears, her blue marks glowing like rivers. His voice cracked, "I can't do this. I can't kill one of them." The tribunal's voice thundered inside his skull. "You must, there is no other path. One must die for your world to live, refuse, and both shall be destroyed." Daniel's stomach twisted, bile rising in his throat. He saw Lyra clench her fists, her jaw tight with determination. "Choose me, Daniel. You know it's the right choice. I have the strength, I can fight for Earth. Don't waste this chance," and her words were sharp, demanding, but behind them, he saw fear. Fear she would be erased if he chose wrong. Celine stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. Her voice shook, but it did not break. "If you choose me, I will not fight. I will protect in another way. I can hear them. I can stop them before they strike. I can save lives without blood, but if you choose me, you must trust mercy over strength." Daniel's chest burned. He felt their voices pulling at him, one with fire, one with water, each word cut deeper. Each plea dragged his heart in two directions at once. He wanted to scream until his voice shattered, but no sound came out. The tribunal's voices grew louder, their shadows stretching across the chamber. "Decide, human, the sun rises, the trial ends. Choose." Daniel's knees weakened. He dropped to the floor, clutching his head. Memories of Earth filled his mind, his home, his people, the faces of those who believed in him. Was he about to decide their future based on fire or mercy, war or peace, strength or compassion? It felt wrong, it felt cruel, but time was slipping away. Lyra suddenly broke the silence, her voice cracking for the first time. "Choose her, Daniel. If you think peace is what matters, then choose Celine." Celine shook her head fiercely, sobbing, "No, Lyra, choose her. She is strong. She can carry the fight. Don't let me take her place." Daniel froze, his heart hammering against his ribs. The sisters, once begging to live, were now begging for each other. Their love for one another burned brighter than their fear of death, and that broke him more than any demand from the tribunal. He whispered through clenched teeth, "This isn't a choice, this is cruelty. You're making me kill love itself," the tribunal roared, their voices shaking the chamber. "Enough. The moment has come. Choose or both will be destroyed." Daniel staggered to his feet. His fist trembling, he turned toward Lyra, her red glow fierce, her fire burning strong. He turned toward Celine, her blue light calm, her tears shining like stars, his lips parted, a word forming, the word that would decide the fate of two lives, the word that would decide the fate of humanity itself. But then, something inside him snapped. A fire that was not Lyra's and a calm that was not Celine's rose inside him. It was his own, his human soul refusing to be broken. He straightened, his voice raw but filled with power. "No, I will not choose. You cannot make me destroy one to save the other. If humanity must be tested, then let it be tested for compassion, not cruelty." The tribunal's forms shook, their voices thundering in fury. "You defy us, human, you defy the law. Both will die, Earth will fall, you have chosen failure." Daniel stepped forward, his voice louder now. "If failure means saving them both, then I accept it. If it means dying with my humanity intact, then so be it. But I will not be your executioner." The sisters gasped, their eyes wide with shock and hope. Lyra whispered, Daniel, Celine sobbed. You would risk everything for us. Daniel turned to them, his face hard but his eyes filled with fire. I don't care if you were born in a lab or shaped by aliens. You are not tools. You are not weapons, you are lives. And no law in the galaxy will make me kill love. The chamber shook violently, the tribunal's light flickering like broken flames. For the first time, their perfect voices cracked with rage. You are foolish, you are weak, you are unworthy. But Daniel stood tall. His fists clenched, his voice unshaken. No, I am human. And being human means I will never choose death when love is standing before me. The dawn light spread across the chamber, burning brighter. The sisters' red and blue marks glowed together. Fire and water mixing. The tribunal's shadows shrieked. The walls splitting with light. Daniel braced himself, knowing he might have doomed Earth. But in that moment, he felt something he had not felt since the trial began. Freedom. He had made his choice, and his choice was to choose neither death, but both life, even if it cost him everything. The chamber exploded with light. Daniel shielded his eyes, his heart pounding like a drum. The tribunal's shadows screamed, their voices twisting into chaos, no longer calm, no longer in control. The sisters clung to each other, their red and blue marks glowing brighter than ever. Merging into a blinding white, the ground shook, cracks tearing across the black floor. Daniel stumbled but did not fall, his voice rising above the chaos. You wanted me to choose death, but I chose life. I chose both, his words echoed, not just in the chamber but in something larger, something beyond the walls. The tribunal's light flickered, their forms breaking apart like shattered glass. You defy the law, you defy the test, humanity is weak. Humanity will be erased, they roared. But their power wavered, their control slipping for the first time. Daniel saw fear in their star-like eyes. The sisters' glow spread across the chamber, white light swallowing the red and blue. Lyra held Celine's hand tightly, her defiance no longer fire. But love, Celine clung to Lyra, her tears gone, replaced by strength Daniel had never seen before. Together they were no longer opposites, they were whole. Daniel realized the truth, the tribunal had been wrong. It was never about choosing one or the other. It was about refusing the cruelty of choice. The sisters were not two halves meant to destroy each other. They were two halves meant to unite. And only by saving both could humanity prove its true strength. The tribunal shrieked, their bodies dissolving into smoke. The chamber walls collapsed into stars, opening into the vastness of space. Daniel felt himself lifted as if gravity no longer bound him. The sisters hovered beside him, their marks pulsing like twin suns. Then silence fell. The tribunal was gone, their power broken. And in their place a new voice echoed, calm and vast. You have done what no one before you dared. You have broken the law of sacrifice. Daniel turned. Searching for the source, from the light emerged a single figure, older than the tribunal, its form vast and radiant. It was not made of shadow and flame, but of pure starlight. Its voice carried both warmth and endless weight. The law of one was never meant to last. It was a cage, a test repeated through ages. And every species before you failed. They chose strength or wisdom, war or peace, but none chose compassion. Daniel's breath caught. You mean this was the true test? Not the choice, but the refusal to choose? The figure's light shimmered. Yes, human. The tribunal thought your kind would break, but you chose unity. You chose love. That is humanity's strength, and that is why you will survive. Daniel's knees weakened, relief flooding his chest. He looked at the sisters, their glow softening. Their hands still locked together. Lyra smiled through her tears. Her fire no longer angry, but alive. Celena's calm was brighter than ever. Her wisdom shining in her eyes. Daniel whispered, You're free, both of you. The sisters nodded, their voices trembling with gratitude. Because of you, Celine said. Because you saw us, Lyra added. The chamber melted away completely. Daniel stood once more on his ship's bridge, the stars stretching endlessly outside the glass. But he was not alone. Lyra and Celine stood beside him, their marks still faintly glowing. No longer a burden, but a gift. The ship's systems blinked alive. A message appeared on the console. Earth defenses activated. Genetic key accepted. Daniel's eyes widened. Both sisters had merged with the system together. Something the tribunal said was impossible. Yet here they were. Proof that compassion could unlock what cruelty never could. For the first time in days, Daniel laughed, a raw, broken laugh filled with relief. The sisters laughed with him, their voices light against the dark of space. The impossible choice had been shattered, and with it the tribunal's cruel law. But as he looked out into the stars, Daniel knew the story was not over. The tribunal was gone, but others like them might still exist. The galaxy was vast, full of laws written in blood. And now humanity had shown something dangerous, something powerful, that it would not be broken. Lyra stepped forward, her fiery grin sharp. Let them come. If they want to test us again, they'll see how strong we are when we fight together. Selene placed her hand on Daniel's shoulder, her voice calm. And they will see how far compassion can reach. Even in the darkest places, Daniel stood between them, a captain no longer alone. His impossible choice had become humanity's greatest victory. And as the ship drifted through the stars, he whispered, "We did not choose death, we chose life, and that is what makes us human." The stars outside seemed to shine brighter, as if the universe itself had heard him. And for the first time, Daniel felt hope not just for Earth, but for all of humanity, because he had faced the most impossible choice. And instead of breaking, he had rewritten the law,